Yeah, so yeah, we say Shalom, brothers and sisters. You bright enough, Gaja?
Good.
Yeah, we come here to this place of no return. Brothers know I travel a lot. Been to Israel, the Gaza, Jordan, been many places, many countries, 9 Caribbean countries, but this one is this let me tear up, to be honest. That's why I bring my glasses. So this let me tear up because Kojo, could you just explain what this was again?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Now this room is called the condemned cell, or
The condemned cell.
the condemned cell. Meaning some of our ancestors in the dungeons, the strong ones that were rebelling for their freedom or release, they thought these ones were stubborn ones. So as punishment or to put fear in the others in the dungeons, none of them would have the zeal to fight back for their freedom. They brought these strong ones into this room.
And they starved to death here.
And they were starved to death. No food, no water was given to them.
So is this original walls?
Yes, the original law, you can see that their nose as a scratch on the walls, fighting for their release, fighting for their freedom.
So all these are scratches on the walls?
Scratches on the wall.
So you're telling me my ancestors was here fighting?
Yes.
For freedom?
For freedom.
And these are real walls?
Yes, please.
And they starved for death, no food, no drink?
And when they died, so for about 2 to 3 days, because they were not fed, they died. And when you die, the door will be open. Some of the soldiers will look through.
They look through that hole there.
Yes. And open the door to see the one who is dead.
And pull him out, throw him in the sea.
Right.
So my people was here dying. Not my people, but the Most High people. My fellow brothers. The warriors. The main one was the Comanche or something like that they call them. They were the main warriors. And they said the rebellious of the rebellious went to Jamaica in slavery. Right? So these are places my people, the Most High people was. And we were all here for breaking God's laws and commandments. As a nation of people, if we did what we were supposed to do, we'll continue. But we come here now, you can see the scratches on the wall. We are black man dying for hunger. And the white man just up there eating, raping our woman, having a good time. And a black man here dying for hunger. Just because a black man wants freedom. So my people in America, in the world, marching, Black Lives Matter, stop the marching. For the white man wants slavery, he never marched to get slave. He conquered to get slave. For us, as the children of God, to get slave, we have to put ourselves in the mind to be a conqueror. You have to act like our enemy if we want to rule this earth. But this place, this I've no hard racing, man. I've been to Petra, they have 7 wonders of the earth. I've been to 2 of them already. But this place, this is it. Right, my brother.
This dungeon is called Elimina Dungeon. The first to be built by the Portuguese.
Portuguese owned it first?
Yes, in the year 1482.
1482.
Yeah, but they first arrived here in the year 1471 to pray and to spread Christianity.
Yeah, and you all accept it, right?
At that time,
you all accept that Christianity, right?
Oh, that is one of the, because when they were coming here, they said they came for economic, religious, and political reasons. And the economic reason was to trade, religiously was to spread Christianity. But unfortunately, things got worse. So when they arrived in 1471, at that time they did not have a place to stay. So they requested for a land, for this parcel of land from their chief called Nana Kwamana and Sandy First.
What's the chief name?
Nana Kwamana and Sandy First.
What was his tribe?
What do you mean?
What was the chief tribe?
Oh, was a Fante.
He was Fante?
Yeah.
Okay.
And at that time he was reluctant to release this land to the Portuguese because he said it is better for them to be at where they are, to come and trade, than to be here and trade with them since they didn't know each other. In order to buttress his point, he cited the sea, that they just watch over the sea and the land. Though there's good communication between the sea and the
So
land.
in 1471, they said, right?
Yeah, 1471.
What was the Portuguese after trade to Africa in 1471?
After,
What was there? What did Africa need from Portugal in 1471?
you know, in the course of my narration, I will link you to how the Portuguese landed here.
Mm-hmm.
I will link you to there. I'm just trying to give you a little overview of the castle, of the dungeon. But before, when we get to that point, I will tell you why they came.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I
get
know why they came, but you said the chief wanted to trade.
No, the chief was reluctant, was not willing.
Oh, he was not willing. He never wanted to.
Yes.
Okay.
The chief was not willing at all. That is why he was just giving them a parable that they just watch over the sea and the land. Though the sea comes, it goes back because the two of them cannot be at one place.
That's true.
So it is better for the Portuguese to be in wherever they are. If you want any items or commodities from Ghana, come here, but go back, but not to live in the same area because we didn't know or we don't know each other.
Okay then.
But the Portuguese were not content with the message being given by the chief. So they persuaded the chief continuously, and the chief was a very generous and kind-hearted man. So in 1482, he understood their play and gave them the land. And quickly, the Portuguese came with 600 soldiers, and all the masons were made up of soldiers. Carpenters, masons, and co. to board the castle, just to protect themselves because they had evil intent, which was not known to the people in this area.
Okay.
And they used 4 years to board the castle.
4 years?
4 years.
To buy it?
No, to build.
Build. So it's the Portuguese builders?
Yes.
So they came here and was setting up, and so the chief never have no idea what was happening.
Yes, of course.
And this is a Fante chief?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, so the Portuguese were here. So when they built the castle, they named it after their patron called St. George. St. George.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, the name of the land was called Anomansa.
Mm-hmm.
But because it was difficult for the Portuguese or the white folks to pronounce it, they named this area La Mina because the area was full of gold.
So what the Portuguese do, they come and they ask for the part full of gold,
Yeah.
and they name it what they want to name it.
Yeah, La Mina or
But,
El Mina.
but St. George,
St. George was their patron in Portugal.
but you know, George is not Portuguese.
Mhm.
So George is British.
No, St. Jago.
St. Jago.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it is in English it's called St. George
Okay.
because later the British also came here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so the Portuguese were in charge. So from 1482 to 1637, the Portuguese were in charge. 1482
82,
to 1637,
mm-hmm.
they were in charge.
1600.
Yes, that is, so for 155 years, the Portuguese were in charge of this castle, of this dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the commodities that initially the Portuguese came along with included tobacco, guns, gunpowder, used clothing, mirrors, and coal in exchange for the gold, ivory, and local spices. Now in 1637, the Dutch, at that time, the Dutch attacked the Portuguese. But not only in 1637, they launched their first attack on the Portuguese in 1596 from the seaside, from the seaward side.
So it was a navy battle.
Yes. But they could not because defensively the Portuguese were prepared and they had all their soldiers around. So in 1625, the Dutch launched another attack, but still they could not succeed. In 1637, this time around, they mapped up a strategy where they attacked this dungeon or this castle from 2 directions, one from the seaward side.
And this was 16 when?
1637.
So what was the local doing then, seeing all these attacks?
Now, what the local people did was that, at that time, the local people even assisted the Dutch because they thought 3 reasons accounted for the Portuguese, for the locals to assist the Dutch. They said they were fed up with the Portuguese in trading in human beings. So they thought for the Dutch to take over meant that slave trade in human beings was going to end.
So in that time, the Portuguese started the slave trade here.
Yes, they started here.
So where was those slave heading? The slave that the Portuguese take
yes.
from here.
Yes.
Where were they going?
They took them to Portugal, Lisbon.
Lisbon?
Lisbon. And that's where the first slave market was established in 1444, Mercado de Escravos in Portugal.
That time Portugal is controlled by Spain too, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And that was what the Portuguese and the Spanish.
So when all those selling was happening, what was the chief doing then?
At that time, the chief who gave the land is no more.
Yeah, so what was the other chief doing?
Yes, some of the other chiefs were not happy with what was happening, and some of them, because of their individual interest or because of what they were getting from it, never bothered or so not to work with it.
So they agree with slavery.
But some of the local chiefs were also not happy, so and for that one never participated. It's like what is happening today. Why in various communities you see some people agreeing to some issues and some people not agreeing to some issues because of individual reasons or personal reasons. So, and another reason why the local people also assisted the Dutch was that the Portuguese passed a law called regimental law, and that law prohibited any locals from trading with a different European nation. So, if you are caught for the first time, you'll be severely beaten, and the second one is death.
Okay.
So the locals thought that for the Dutch to take over meant that all those things was going to end. And the scale that was used in measuring the gold at that time had been tampered with by the Portuguese. So based on these three reasons, the locals didn't want the Portuguese here. But to get disappointment, by assisting the Dutch to take over from the Portuguese, things got worsened as the Dutch also continued the same inhuman trait for 235 years. 200
years, 35. So let me ask you this now. So back then, what's your tribe?
I belong to Akan.
Akan.
Yeah.
So you're up in the Comanche region.
No, Akan comprised of different tribes. I'm in Nzema. Nzema is the southwestern part of Ghana.
Okay.
But the whole ethnic group is the Akan, which comprises of the Zebe.
Under the Ashanti.
Under the Ashanti. So.
All right. So let me ask you this. As what you're telling me now. What's your name? Kodjo, right?
Kodjo, yeah.
Yeah. One of our great hero in Jamaica was Kodjo.
Yeah, a friend of mine mentioned to me here.
He killed a lot of white people.
I know.
And the white people he killed was British.
Okay.
Yeah, Kodjo. He was from Ghana too. He
too.
was Akan. His auntie was Nanny the Maroon. She came there as a queen.
Okay.
So so y'all trust the Portuguese to let him here, your ancestors. Then you trust the Netherlands, the Dutch. So after the Dutch came who? Satan.
After the Dutch came the British.
The Satan. They were worse than the Portuguese and the Dutch
but
put
you know
together.
one thing. Whilst the Dutch were in charge of Elmina, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the British were in charge at Cape Coast Castle.
So where's Cape Coast Castle?
Cape Coast Castle is about 20 minutes drive from here.
Okay.
The British were there.
Okay.
So, and they all engage in the same inhuman treatment of our ancestors.
So you know that. Do you trust white people now?
Pardon me?
You know all that. Do you trust white people today? Be honest.
To be honest, I do not.
You do not?
I do not.
That's beautiful.
I do not.
That's beautiful.
I do not. Based on the knowledge that I've gotten,
okay.
I do not.
Because they're doing the same thing today, right?
Of course. Even nowadays, things are worse.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Things are worse. Things are worse.
I think now we have a little bit of life because my ancestors on the slave ship, that's why I said earlier you said welcome home, right?
Yeah.
And I said this is not my home.
Yeah.
I'm a visitor. And I can explain why I said that. Because coming back to Ghana, which you said home, it's I still get treated like a tourist here. And just like we have to pay to come in here, right? But when we leave here, we leave for free, man. And then we'll finish this at the end. So continue.
So this is so when the British took over in 1872.
1872.
Yeah, by that time they had passed the law in 1807 for the abolishment of the slave trade.
Okay.
But the trade in human beings never.
Do you have a phone on you?
Yes, I have a phone.
1872 to now is how many years that?
Yeah.
How much years is that?
1872 to today?
Yes. How many years is that?
Let me tell you.
How many?
148 years.
So 148 years ago, slavery was abolished. Slavery was going strong.
Yes.
148 years.
148 years.
How old is your father?
So,
Your dad, how old is he?
my dad,
Your father?
my father,
Yeah, how old is he?
he was not born.
No, I'm just asking you something. How old is he now?
My father is about almost 60 years.
So 60 from 148 leave
Yeah.
what?
We have about
80 years.
Yes.
So your grandfather.
Yes.
So that's 2 generations ago was slavery.
Yes.
So you see, a lot of people think slavery was a long time, brother. The white man in America, Trump tell us, forget about slavery. Forget about it and move on with it. But your grandfather know what slavery is. He see this happening. 1872 wasn't that far. You see that, right? So that's why I know we, in the Isles, we become what? The children of slave. So, continue.
Yeah, but I have also a different, as we move deeper into the story or into the history of our ancestors, you get to know. Because the question that I keep on asking myself was that, or is that, were Africans, before the coming of the so-called the white folks into our land, were you practicing the inhuman forms of slavery as being introduced by the white people? That is one question that I keep on asking myself. And anytime, as I said, I welcome you, because anytime I see you, I don't see you to be a tourist, I see you to be a brother. And that's why I have all the time to welcome you back home, for you to feel that indeed you belong to a place. Now, Africans prior to the trade in human beings began here, were not you were practicing indigenous servitude or indentured servants. We're among ourselves, and this thing is still common nowadays. We're among ourselves. Those who owed debt and could not pay were allowed to work for their own in order to settle the debt. Whilst this system was in place, they were clothed, they were protected, they were sheltered, and they had their own rights and responsibilities.
As slaves.
Yes, yes.
What tribe was that going through that though? It wasn't all the tribes.
Yes.
So what tribe was that going through?
Among even the Akans and even the northern part of Ghana, it was common. Because at that time, it was like something like a normal system along that was happening. But when the white man came, things changed upside. Things turned the other way around. And since they came, they said they wanted people to go and work. And their system was already in place. They thought, why not? If our people wanted to go and work already, why not?
So it was a case you're saying then, we asked to go with him and work?
Somehow.
You really believe that?
No. Sometimes it's like...
So let me say this. On the first slave ship, our people said, listen, we're working for these Africans. Why not we go for the Americans and work for these white people?
Yeah.
And the first slave ship, those people see how they strap us down in the slave ship and tie us down on the slave ship.
Yes,
and the next slave ship, we agreed to go on it and do the same thing again, brother?
Another question.
I know you don't believe that. Because I'll tell you this. When the slaves reached over in America in the 1600s, the Spanish started from the 1500s.
Yes, of course.
And as I said, back then, Spain and Portugal was in collides.
Yes.
And when the Spanish started slavery, when the British came over there in the 1600s, King George V or the 8th, one of them, fat bastard.
Yeah.
When he came, he chased the Spanish out.
Yeah.
The Spanish freed the slaves that were there. I'm giving you our history on our side now, what can be proven.
Yes, of course. I know.
And even for you to tell me, Kodjo, that our people did want to go and work for this white man. But there's more than 1 million slaves jump ships, never want to come to the Americas. Even when you go to Barbados, every year Barbados keeps something where they do it in the sea in commemoration of those slaves that jump overboard.
Yeah.
So I would say that I could not teach my children that, and whosoever tell her that that wasn't true. Because when the slaves tried to get away in America, they were heading back to Africa. When slavery abolished in the so-called 1800s, over 1 million slaves came back. When Marcus Garvey started in 1900, over 1 million slaves went to Liberia. Slaves came back here.
Yeah.
So if it's a case they were asking to go to work for the white man, why would they try to flee back here in this region?
No, you didn't get me right. What I was trying to say was that I was trying to link the indigenous servitude to the charter slavery being introduced by the white folks. Okay, and once our own system was in place, because when you look if you see how Africans were captured, forced capture. How could a forced capture, white Europeans were capturing Africans by force at gunpoint?
So that wasn't asking to go somewhere.
Yes.
So it was a tribal war.
A tribal war.
Okay then.
A tribal forced capture, and this was very, very common. And the first Africans were captured in Senegambia. Senegambia, present-day Senegal and Gambia, by the Portuguese. Okay, and all these people ended being slaves in Lisbon, in Spain. Two, inter-tribal wars, as you mentioned, was also common among all the ethnic groups, where they were laying ambush. And this time around, some of the Europeans collaborated with the Africans, gave them guns and gunpowder, and they were laying ambush.
And liquor?
Yes, where their own people captured them and sold them as slaves. So you can see, so when you look up all how the Africans were captured, you could even learn from it that is why this kind of debate always keeps on going. That
because it's have to make sense.
Yes.
Because you're going to have brothers and sisters in the West. They're going to see this and they might say, it's something different we know. Are you a Christian or Muslim?
I'm not a Christian.
You're a Muslim?
I'm not a Muslim.
So what are you? What you believe in?
But I believe in the Bible.
You believe in the Bible?
Of course.
How long you working here?
How long have you been working here?
Here?
Yeah, I've been working here for more than... I started working for this institution since 2010.
Have you ever seen any Hebrew Israelite come here?
Hebrews?
Yeah, black Hebrews.
Black Hebrews.
Israelites. Yeah, I've not seen a Hebrew Israelite. Okay. All right.
So, we are now going straight. So all the rooms, beginning from here,
where we used to be stored,
on the down floors, were used as middle dungeons where 600 men, young and energetic, were kept. My
father was in one of these rooms
for 2 to 3 months.
For 2 to 3 months.
A watching shipment.
So that's why they couldn't ask to go somewhere living like that.
Of course.
Okay.
And on top of the dungeons were the residences for their own soldiers, the physicians, the missionaries, and the merchants. And on top, that's the third floor, was the deputy governor, and the last one was for the governor.
Okay.
So the more important a person is perceived to be, the higher up he lived. You can see a church, or it's for the Portuguese, where they worship. The Portuguese church.
So you see, the Portuguese have a church there. The Dutch never changed the church.
They did. When the Dutch took over, they removed the tower, which indicates that it is a church. Restructured the whole building, using the upper rooms as junior soldiers' mess. And they used the down floor as where they were buying, where the Dutch were buying instead of the Africans. And they built their own church on top of the female dungeon.
So a Christian church was on top of the slaves.
Let's see these two.
Okay.
You can see 2 cells here. This is the European cell, and the.
So this is where our people used to store.
No, I will take you to the dungeon.
Okay.
This is.
So this was.
You can see this cell has 2 ventilation holes for air to come inside.
So the air used to come through that.
Yeah. So for any of the soldiers who misbehaved by going to town without permission, who got drunk, their superiors will bring them here for a few hours. It could be 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours.
So we'll be in this for 3 hours.
Yeah. No, it means some of the European soldiers. Some of the soldiers.
Okay.
Now let's come out and see the one for our ancestors. Any of the ancestors who were birthed, who were fighting for their will of freedom, they said these ones were stubborn and rebellious.
Okay,
and
so
they sent them here.
So they said the Jamaican was the worst in slavery. So I could see my father in this, right?
So let's enter here to have a feel of it. You can see no ventilation hole.
No ventilation.
No ventilation. And they were starved to death in this cell.
So this was the rebellious slave.
So this is the condemned cell. In here for one sisters who were fighting for their release of freedom. They said they would. So in order to suppress or to put fear in the eyes, the strong ones were brought here, locked, and they were stabbed to death.
So could you just hold this from the inside out and just close the door a little for me? So this was where we was at, right? The rebellious slaves.
Yes. So you can see this metal with a hose. It's meant for the soldiers to look through to see if someone is dead. They just open the door to remove the dead body straight into the sea. That's where you can see the symbol of the skull and the cross.
That means death. So after all this, what you think we should do with the white man, Kaja?
Let's continue. At the end of the tour, I'll conclude with that.
Okay.
So you can see this writing in Dutch, and you can see it was written in Dutch in memory of a Dutch governor called Van Tit. And Van Tit was the last Director General of Dutch West Indies Company over the north and south coast of Africa.
So why it have West Indies?
Yes.
Because we're sending to the west.
Yes. So this governor came here, arrived here on the 16th January, 1758, and died in the same year on the 12th March, 1758 at the age of 41. And he died of malaria.
God kill him.
And he was buried down here.
He buried here.
Now when he died, there was a pastor here, a resident pastor, a missionary called A. Anderson. And he wrote some tribute. He said Van Tit was a God-fearing, respectful, and honest. And any question that people, anyone who comes here and hears about his role during the time of the inhuman slavery, one of the fundamental questions that they ask is that a God-fearing man under his watch, African was mistreated, were mishandled. What did he do about it?
Can we praise different gods, Kaja? We cannot praise the white man God, Kaja. The black man need his own God, Kaja. Shalom, shalom.
My brother.
How you doing, my brother? So this is what?
So this is the entrance, the middle entrance into the room of no return.
Oh, so we're going to go there last.
We are going to the female dungeons to experience the dungeons, to see the dark church.
So this is a female dungeons.
Yeah.
So these were where the black woman was.
Yeah.
Eve.
You can see this is the female courtyard.
Okay, so this is a female courtyard.
And all the rooms on the down floor were used as female dungeons, where 400 women were kept. So 600 men in the male dungeons. 600
men and 400 women.
So at a particular time, 1,000 were taken from the dungeons of Elmina. Now, let's walk through the dungeons and begin to experience them. So this is one of the female dungeons.
So this was where 400 women kept?
No, they were
scattered.
scattered.
So many women would be in this?
About 80 here.
80 women.
About 150 female captives were also kept on this floor.
50?
150.
150 women.
And this is the floor that they were sleeping, lying, defecating, urinating, vomiting, and menstruating. So the floor was full of blood, urine.
So these are floors that my mother liked, my sister, my grandmother.
And all the doors were locked. You can see the system of ventilation, and that ventilation will connect to the magazine where they kept the gunpowder. So in case of any leakage, the toxins came inside, and that worsened the condition of our ancestors, and as a result, many of them died, and those who died were removed and thrown into the sea. And that is why Malcolm X once said, history is people's memory, and without it, a man is devoted to a lower animal.
So what used to be over there?
You're going there. So you can see this is a water reservoir, and this was constructed by the Portuguese. So anytime the governor want to abuse the woman sexually, this is the background for the governor where he stands. So he ordered the soldiers to open the gate of the dungeon for all the women to come out.
You wash them.
As somebody at the courtyard, he will look through them and select a woman of his own choice. But since the one chosen by the governor had been in the dungeon for so many months, without bathing, brushing her teeth, or washing down, the soldiers would fetch water from this reservoir for her to bath in the presence of the others. And after bathing, she was clothed, given something small to eat to look attractive to the governor, was forced to walk through this door where the door was opened, and forced to pass through the staircase into the bedroom of the governor where she was raped. And after the rape, she came back into the same dungeon, awaiting shipment.
Yeah. This was where her mother was going to be raped, or a daughter, or a woman.
But some of the women resisted rape. Not all of them complied with the call by the government. And those who resisted rape were not left free. At that time, these cannonballs used to be 8 cannonballs. And each was connected to a chain. So any woman who resisted rape, as punishment, they were chained to the cannonballs for 24 hours, no food, no water, whether raining or the scorching sun. They stood in it, and the whole concept was to put fear in the others. So anytime the governor desired to have access to any of the women, he could have access to that, to her, and abuse her sexually. Even despite that, some of them prefer to die in the scorching sun than to be taken to the governor's room and suffer rape from the governor.
Hallelujah.
And you can see, this is one of the female dungeons. And you can see on top of this dungeon was a church built by the Dutch. The Dutch Reformed Church, where the Dutch were worshipping. And some of our ancestors, the female captives, were kept here. But these clothes and chains that you see on the floor are not the original chains and clothes. But I think about 2015 or 2015, a program was held here. And the title for the program was called a Reenactment, or the Return of the Slaves, where some people volunteered to reenact what happened in the dungeons. So the clothes were used to cover their private parts, and the chains were put to themselves, slept in the dungeon for 12 hours. And after 12 hours, indeed, people could not even near the dungeon. Why? The stench that was emanating from the dungeon was unbearable. So the question that people who graced the program asked themselves was, if 12 hours was such a menace, was unbearable, how much of our ancestors who spent about 12 months or who spent about 2 months or 3 months in the same room awaiting shipment? One could not imagine what they might have gone through. And you can see some of the original iron bars to prevent anyone.
All this one?
So these were the original iron bars
Iron bars.
from in the 1400s.
Yes. To prevent anyone from escaping the dungeon. So how could they escape? That was impossible.
So you're telling me this I'm holding to now? My ancestors was holding on to this. My mother, my daughter, my sister. Go ahead.
Can I continue?
Hold on now. Okay, so these bricks came from where?
From Holland?
Netherlands, yeah.
Are they?
So let me ask you this now. Answer it. No.
So,
Yeah. So what do you think? Hold this on me. What you think we should do with the so-called white man now after all this? Honest question. Just talk how you feel.
I keep on saying that this question is the first time I'm facing this question.
It's always the first time for everything. It's the first time I come here and I almost shed a tear.
Yeah, and it's a very, very tough question. But personally, my view is that since as you're human beings, and with human beings you all make mistakes. They have done what they were not supposed to do. They have done the unthinkable. And the most unfortunate part is that still they have never accepted their own mistakes. They still justify their actions and inactions that they do to the Africans. And they even fail to pay the reparation for the Africans, and that is unfortunate. But I keep on saying this, that at the end of the whole talk, we all need to come together as one people.
With the white man.
I've not been mention of a race.
But just say what you mean, because as I said, what you taught me today, if your people could not trust the Dutch, the Portuguese, the British, how would it even be possible to be sitting at the same table today when they still control? France have a gold reserve, England have a gold reserve, America have a gold reserve. Do Ghana have a gold reserve? No. No. Not comparing to what the French and the British have.
Of course.
And Ghana produce the third best gold in the world.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
South Africa have a gold reserve controlled by Jewish people. Guyana have a gold reserve controlled by the British. So South Africa gold is the number 1 gold in the world.
Yeah.
Guyana in the Caribbean gold is the number 2 in the world. Ghana is the number 3 gold in the world. So if all that happened, I see the president of Ghana said a couple of weeks ago they're not paying the French no more money. You fight for your freedom and you have to pay him for it. And you still would suggest we sit at the table?
No, what I'm trying to say is that I believe in love, one love. And when love reigns, it covers a multitude of things. And that is my gesture, but that is what I prayed for.
All right, you want me to tell him I believe?
No.
You don't want me to tell him?
I want you to tell me.
We've been loving the white man for 400 years. We've been going to the white man church, praise the white man Jesus, praise the white man God. We go in the white man army, we fight for his army. We build these countries. Everywhere in take us as slave, we build it up. We go to his school, we learn his educational system. We love the white man. We love the white man. We do anything for him. We call him sir, we call him master. In the dictionary, you have white pure, beautiful. You have black evil, demonic. And we still love the white man. And in my 40 plus years on the earth, I'm trying to figure one good thing the white man ever done on this planet. Can you tell me that, Kaja?
No.
Because he have never done a good in his life, in his generation, in his existence. So, as you know what the Bible says about love? What is love? You see, you read the Bible, right? Read what you have on the front page here for me. Just read it for me. You can understand that English, right?
Yeah, I can understand.
Read what you see there.
Deuteronomy chapter 28.
No, read from the top. Read the edit, everything.
What about slavery?
What about slavery?
Does the Bible prophesy of the enslavement of the 12 tribes of Israel?
Yeah.
Yes, read Deuteronomy chapter 28,
Mm-hmm.
verse 15, 48, the verse 68. The 68th verse proves that the true Jews are the so-called Negroes.
Mm-hmm.
Joel chapter 3 verse 6, Amos chapter 7 verse 17,
Mhm.
Isaiah 5 verse 13, Ecclesiastes chapter 10 verse 7, Psalm or Lamentation 5th chapter. Where the Lord forgave the Africans, Arabs, and the so-called white race for their slave trade?
Mm-hmm.
Answer no. Read Exodus chapter 21 verse 16, Colossians chapter 3 verse 25, Jeremiah 30 verse 16, Galatians 6 verse 7, and Revelation chapter 30 verse 9 to 10. Why don't our people consider this fact? Read Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 6, Isaiah 1 3, Jeremiah 17 verse 4. Will the 12 tribes of Israel get revenge upon the enemies according to the Bible? Yes. Ezekiel chapter 25 verse 40, Isaiah 49 22 23, Isaiah chapter 41 verse 1 to 2, and 21, Psalm 149 verse 5 and 9, and Revelation 30 verse 9 to 10. The 12 tribes of Israel includes the following. That is the Judah, Benjamin, Levi.
So you can see the African tribes that
So
are
she
under
also-
the Israel.
So she also Ashanti, Ewe, Igbo, Mbundu, Ashanti, Dahomey, Lemba, Wolof, Bakongo, Yoruba, along with our people scattered in the four corners.
So what I'm telling you, Kojo, when he said black sell black into slavery, remember I told you it was a tribal thing?
Yeah, trouble, into trouble.
So it was the African nation sell the black Hebrews tribe. Because just like you said, the Akan under one thing, we all under the Hebrew nation. We all under Jacob. Jacob is our father. So it was the African came against us. Read your Bible. I'm going to give you that. And you read it and go through your Bible. Take my number. Call me. Tell me I'm a liar. Because the Bible tells you that the true Jews, the true Hebrews was going to go in slavery and cargo slave ships. Deuteronomy 28:68. So what I'm telling you is, we are the true Jews. We are the children of God.
If, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
But I remember from the Bible too, I've also read that the Israelites led by were into slavery in Egypt
Yes.
for 400 years.
Yes.
For many years until later, God sent Moses
To deliver them.
to deliver them from that.
So let me ask you this now. Good you quote that. Brilliant. So you read it in the Bible that the children or ancestors was in Egypt. So what was Moses called in Egypt? Pharaoh's son.
Yeah.
So that means Moses have to be black. So it was the black children of Israel was enslaved by who? What color are the Egyptians? The black Egyptians. Don't watch a TV, they show you white people as the original pharaohs were black people.
Yeah.
So Moses, a black Hebrew, kind was called Pharaoh's son, was enslaved by the black Egyptians. So you see what we're telling you? Not because we are all black, that don't mean we're the same nations. And in slavery, what happened was, the ancestors knew who we was. And it was a plot and a trap to get us out of this region. Because we was in Israel, Northeast Africa. Israel is Africa too. Not Middle East, not Europe. So Israel is in Northeast Africa. So what happened in 70 AD, the Romans came and destroyed the Tower of Israel. So what happened, the three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, fled to West Africa. We dwell here for about 700 years. But the Africans hate us. They envied us. So that's why when the Portuguese come in, they give the Portuguese land to be a defense against us. Against the Akan, the Goa, the Fante, and a couple more of those tribes. We were the true Hebrew tribe in Africa. So they envy us, they hate us. So what the African tribes did, some of them go by the name Ashanti also. They were the strongest, right?
Yeah.
They round us up. They sold us to the enemy. But just like our ancestors, when you read the Bible, the children of Israel was always in slavery, right? Right? Who are the children of slaves today? I'm the only one can say that, right? So just like how we spent 400 years in Egypt and then the Most High sent Moses to deliver us. In these last days, our 400 years is up. Culture. So the Most High sent in Christ, the black Messiah. Because Christ is a black man. He born in Northeast Africa. So the Most High sending him to deliver his children of Israel in the four corners of this earth. Just like what he asks, will they be unpunished for what they did to us? No, it won't be. They're going to pay back. Didn't the Egyptian pay back? How was the Egyptian paid back, Kaja?
Yeah, they pay back.
How did they pay back?
They were destroying the Red Sea.
And what else? God killed all their firstborn, right?
Yeah.
So you think so you said you just want everybody to sit at the table. You believe in love. Love is a good thing, but love your own people, man. We loving the enemy.
That's so as soon as you came here, I welcome you because I love you.
Yes, but you cannot love me and love my slave master. I cannot love you and love your oppressor. I cannot do that. We have to love each other first, because what the white man did to us, God gonna raise us up to do the same thing to him.
But I remember from the scriptures that when God also told that when God brought Israel back to Canaan, the land that He promised to give them, He told them that He told them how to deal with any foreigner that come and reside in them. That they should always exercise love. They should treat them justly, because they shouldn't forget that they were once also slaves.
That's true. That's true. But let me ask you this though: before He gave us that law, what did He tell us to go into Canaan and do? Deuteronomy the 7th chapter. You kill everything. Put fear in them. So when you do that now and they come, you don't do them like the white man did to us. Because what the white man did to us, he killed us. He put fear in us. But he's still doing it today. They just killed George Floyd, right? Put the knee on his neck, stop his life. It wasn't unfortunate. It was murder. That's the nature of the white man. That's the nature of a beast. That's what Satan's supposed to do. He be doing it for years. Only difference now, we have cameras. Right? So when we set this world under order, we're not going to rule it like how he does. He took our nationality. He took our land. He took our culture. He took everything. We're not going to do that. We're going to rule this earth in righteousness, but you have to pay. And when you get the flyers, just read and follow your Bible. You have my number. Keep in contact, brother. You understand me? But you say you're from the Akan. I'm from Akan too. You understand me? So what you have to do, you have to come back to your true heritage, your true nationality. Come back to who you are, my brother. Not because you're in the land of Africa. Not no mean African. Not because I'm in America. Does that make me American? You know the Constitution of America said a horse can think better than me? Or you never know that? It said a horse can think better than a slave. American Constitution says a black man is 3/5 of a human being until this day. When you get a chance, Google it. And then I'm helping you to help yourself to be a better tour guide. Because you study these things now, you can relate to people more when they come here. Listen, you need to come back to your country. You need to come back where your foreparents was. Why you in a country where they call you 3/5 of a man? Why you in a country what the Constitution say a horse can think better than you? That's what America do to us. But even though we're here in Africa, our land is Israel. Just like how we leave Egypt. When we leave Egypt, what did we take? Israel. When we leave here, what we're going to take? Israel. So that's it, my brother. You understand me? But I don't know you work at this place. I couldn't work here, man.
No, but the question is, if one do not sacrifice to share the story of one sister.
I understand that, but I'm just telling you now, you have a stronger heart than me.
Yes.
You understand me? Because I teared up with this thing, man.
It has never been easy, but it takes strong conviction, strong energy to do the job.
So, you have my number, my brother, so we'll keep in touch and take the flyer. That's one is yours. Can take 2 of them if you want. You understand me? Read it, study it. This is your life. This is your heritage. This is salvation. Today, salvation come here for you and you don't even know it, man. Today, you're knowing who you are. You read the Bible, you read the book of Acts, right? Remember that Ethiopian Enoch?
Yeah.
When he meet Philip, and he asked Philip, he said, what is going on here? And Philip tell him, because he was an Israelite living in Ethiopia. So Philip tell him who he was. He baptized, man. Philip tell him, today you get salvation. So he went back to Ethiopia and he studied upon it, and he do. So my number is on it. WhatsApp me. You have my number.
Yeah.
And as I say, I have more brothers and sisters coming who want need tour. So it's best interest to keep in touch with me.
Yeah, so you can go connect.
Right?
Connect it.
So, shalom.
One love.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I continue?
Yeah.
So when the ship came, some of the women, or the women who survived in the dungeons, were taken from the dungeons, and some of them at the courtyard where they were examined to separate those who were suffering from disease from the others who were still more healthier and still strong to control the journey. And these strong ones were put back in chains, followed by the soldiers, walked through to go through this passage to get into the room of no return.
Okay,
So this is a female passage.
So a woman used to walk here.
Walk through this transit. But now we do not allow people to walk through this because we have constructed a drainage system for the water to pass through here.
Okay.
That's why the iron bars are placed here. So similarly, when the ship came, the men who also survived were taken from the mill dungeons.
That's the rebellious men.
No, those who have been in the dungeons and they have survived.
Okay.
The rebellious ones were starved to death in the dungeons as punishment.
Okay.
So they
Make
never-
example.
They never made it to. They never made it. But those who survived in the dungeons were taken after being examined, and they went through this mill transit dungeon to get into the room of no return.
So this is when you walk in this path. They told you know you wasn't coming back. That was it.
We never knew where they were taking you to. Step down. So this room, you can see. So the woman came to this side, the
Woman
man
came
came
from
from this side. So this is the older point that some of them, for the first time, had the opportunity to see themselves for the first time. Before they were forced to get into the room of no return to be shipped home.
Somebody put a candle there.
Yeah. Because you have to do some cleaning, as you would have seen a lot of bottles and many other things here.
Okay.
Some of the Africans in the diaspora. Four steps down.
Okay. So this is it.
So this is the room of no return. And this is the door of no return.
Hold it, let me push all this in. So this was it.
Yes. So this is the door of no return. At that time, the sea was touching the castle.
Okay.
So they took smaller boats who came closer here to convey those.
This was the grill.
Yes. And
Well, guess what, Kajan? The white man lied to us. Because when he used the word no return, meaning we shouldn't fight to come back. You understand me?
Yeah.
But it might take
yeah.
400 years, but we did fight.
Yes, of course.
You understand? And we did overcome it. And as you say, believe in the Bible, right?
I believe in the Bible.
Revelation 13, verse 10. You know what that said?
What does it say?
He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Or you don't recognize it?
Yeah, I've come across it, but I've never taken time to
When you
meditate
get the
upon it.
chance, read back Revelation 13, verse 9. And Psalms 137. You know what David said?
What did he say?
Happy is he who take the white man's baby and dash his head against the wall. This ain't gonna just go and punish. Somebody going to pay, and it's going to be bloodshed. You're going to be marching, demonstrating, you're going to be bloodshed. But somebody have to pay for this.
So, and that is why there is a saying that
This is a Jamaican, put this there. I see Yardy.
until the lion has its own historian, the hunter will always be a hero.
But his time is up.
And that is why it's important for us to connect ourselves to where our ancestors began the journey.
And that's why I'm back here.
That's where you're
And you
that's
say
why-
and you say a correct thing. But this is the end of the tour?
No.
Okay. When we finish, we'll sit and have a chat.
You're welcome.
Because Marcus Garvey was calling for the 400 million Africans
Yeah.
to stand up with us in the West and fight. And there was not one African who stand up for us and fight. When Marcus Garvey was calling, Marcus Garvey called Haile Selassie a coward. You know why?
No.
Haile Selassie was fighting the Italians and buys weapon from the British. His people was there waiting for the guns. The British never sent it. Marcus Garvey said, Haile Selassie, buy a weapon from Libya, next African country. Haile Selassie never did it. So when we was going on the gate of no return, Africa sent us there. So you still have some people in the West mad, and even until this day. Because Africa have 400 million black people. And allow something like this to happen. So how could I call myself African 2020? If I love my ancestors, you all into ancestors, right?
Yeah.
If I love my ancestors, what do you think our ancestors said when they were on the ship going through this door? And they strapped down, they tied up, rats was running on them, roach. You tied them in a shit for months.
Yeah.
Do you think your ancestors in the West would send back love to Africa?
That'd be possible.
Okay.
Careful again.
Huh?
Be careful because of
Yeah. We're going to master quarters now.
You're going to the top. Hey, where I come down? You know. So this room itself is the boardroom where they had their own meetings to discuss issues related to the activities. And after the meeting, the governor will be here to address the soldiers. This is not strong, so don't lean on it. To address the soldiers down there. And you can see Cape Coast Castle from here.
That's it out there.
To the end of the...
Towards the pole? To the pole?
No, to the end of the sea.
Okay, I saw it out there.
Yeah, that's the white structure over there.
And that's our next slave?
Dungeon, yeah.
Okay.
And you can see there's a watchtower for the soldiers to be there to watch over the sea to strengthen the security of the castle. Let me show you where the ship anchored. Yeah, bye-bye. You can see the remains, you can see 5 pillars over there.
Yeah,
That's
those
the
5
remains of
pillars.
the jetties where the ship anchored. So they used smaller boats to convey our ancestors from the door of no return straight.
Meet in the ocean.
Yeah. They never knew.
So why this block off?
Do not pass here. They have to do some work to it.
Okay.
These are just a few African staffs. What one? Okay.
This is the natural shea butter, right?
Yeah, not just here.
15 cities.
How much American is that?
That would be America that should be about, what's that? 15 cities.
$3? $3? $2 something, right?
Yeah, it's about.
Cause people was asking me about it.
Yeah.
So brothers, when I see this is a natural shea butter.
Yeah, no,
So it's like $3.
$2, yeah, it's about $3.
And in America, how much you paying for it?
How much are you paying for that? How much?
This may be about $20. Depends on who you buy it from.
Yes.
But this is natural, right?
Yeah, it's natural.
This might be way more than $20.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And that's what most of the Americans come here, they buy, especially African Americans. They buy a lot of
So,
stuff.
natural shea butter. This is it, right?
Yeah.
Even feel different. Yeah. Get one of that before I go.
After the tour? After the tour, you come back for.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then you're right. Okay.
You're leaving now?
No.
Okay.
After the talk, then we can come back to get some stuff. These are some books that I also recommend to you. Which
Shackles in Darkness.
yes, Shackles in Darkness.
Indigenous slavery.
And then this one highlights the African system.
Do we give the slave tribes and stuff?
Yes.
From the 15th to the 19th century.
Yeah.
So even in 1900, it was still slave traveling. When slavery abolished, so-called 1800. This is the rotate. How much of this?
Right. That'll be about 20 USD.
And what's those?
This is a local game.
Okay.
The nose mask. It's falling down. Nose mask. The nose mask.
Oh.
That was probably like it.
Jamaican 80 have the same stuff them here, man.
Okay. You can see this is the government's balcony where the governor would be
For the woman.
for the woman.
So the governor have all access to a woman.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the top door where the woman came through.
Oh, she come up through that.
Yes. It's lifted by an officer for her to come up the street into the governor's bedroom. Straight.
The governor bedroom is up there.
So, they wish to go there. The choice is yours.
Okay, I'm going up to master bedroom. Catching with my daughter and my wife. I'm gonna use a hot split this down my head. So this is master bedroom.
There's the master bedroom and the living room is here.
Living room.
Yeah. Living rooms. 2 living rooms, 1 bedroom for 1 person each child.
So master been living good for a long time.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey was here, right?
Really?
Steve Harvey was here, right?
Yes.
Who gave him that tour?
A friend of mine, he didn't come to work today.
Okay.
He was here and he was here. That's where he works.
What's this?
This is the officers' mess. This is where they were having their dinner.
Okay.
This
This is
is
where
the
they
latest dungeon. The largest female dungeon. Where 150 women occupy. And this is the governor's kitchen. One for the Portuguese. One for the Dutch. This is the Dutch church.
This is this church.
And the lady is a dungeon. I can see some wonders too. The very thing that was Zion is the eternal wisdom of the Lord.
So why they have Psalms 132 there?
Yes, saying that if one wants to serve God, the person must come into this room.
If you want to save.
Yes, and beneath is the dungeon, white Africans.
But if one want to save, you know what they have to do? Kill the white man. That's that. You couldn't tell a slave to read the Bible.
Yeah.
If they want to be free, and they have to kill him. They used to fire these out at sea.
Yeah. And you can see the compass, the four-square yellowish diagram over there is a compass for a sundial, bought by the Dutch. So for them to see the time of the day, Blanco was put at the center, and the shadow of it was used to determine the time of the day. And these are moats. The outer moat and the inner moat. And the moats were filled with water to prevent enemies from having easy access to the castle. And these are the cannons. These cannons were used for defensive purposes. When fired, the cannonball or a cannonball could travel a distance of 2 to 3 kilometers at a range. That was how they defended themselves against external forces. So enemies, and you can see on top of a hill, you can see a fort built by the Dutch for defensive purposes against any attack coming from inland. So soldiers were stationed over there in order to protect themselves against external forces or enemies.
That's it.